Hey guys, Dr. John here. Today we're going to be going over the elevated pigeon stretch. Now this is a modification of pigeon pose that is a great way to stretch through those deep gluteal muscles like glute med, piriformis, as well as down through the outside of your leg. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right here in front of me, I have a box. You can use a countertop, a chair, so long as it's high enough or in the right position where you're able to get your leg completely flat on it. So we're gonna get our leg up over the top of the box. And what we're gonna pay attention to is, like I said, we wanna make sure that we keep this leg completely flat against the box itself, right? So you can see that mine isn't quite there. And so what you can do then instead, if it isn't adjustable, the surface that you're using, as I almost wipe out, if your surface isn't adjustable, you can put a yoga block or something else underneath your knee to help prop it up a little bit so it's not just floating. So I'm gonna move that out of the way. But in this position, because I can force it there kind of, we're gonna pay attention to a couple of different things. We wanna make sure that we have a nice 90-90 angle at two places. One, we're gonna bring our toes back so that I have a nice 90-degree angle here between my shin and my foot. And then I'm gonna make sure I have a nice 90-degree angle between the top of my shin at the knee and through my femur, right? So I'm not gonna be here where now I can get my knee down, but my femur is at an angle, okay? So I'm gonna make sure I have this femur in a straight line, making 90 degrees with this shin, and then 90 degrees with this shin and this foot, all right? So from here, I already feel a nice big stretch, but I can make it a little bit more intense through a couple of different ways. One being if I hinge forward, so keeping my back flat, I'm not gonna round like this, but keeping my back flat and hinging forward, that stretch starts to intensify through the outside of my hip. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can play with this. One being holding for 5 seconds and then relaxing. And you can do multiple reps to make that stretch a little bit more dynamic. You can also have your other hand down on this knee here, just to support yourself a little bit. The other way would be to sit in this position for 20, 30 seconds or so, and then doing the same thing on the other side. But if you want to feel a little bit more of a stretch, then you can sink yourself down a little bit. And the key then is you're going to turn your pelvis forward. And specifically, you're going to bring whichever hip is on the opposite side that's up, almost like you're trying to point it to this knee. So I'm going to turn my pelvis in this way. It's not a huge movement, but then I can really feel that stretch to the outside of my leg. Okay. Now you can play with different variations of it. Sometimes, like I said, for me, I feel a pretty good stretch just being in this position, just right here, right? So I might just lean forward a little bit and move in and out of that position. But you find what works best for you, making sure that the setup for the exercise is always in that 90-90 position. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of the value of the stretch. That is how you do the elevated pigeon.